Good morning, everybody. Jan of Jan Hicks Creates here, coming to you today with a review. I have mentioned several times that I planned on doing a review of the Aurifil cotton floss, and that's what I'm here for today. I'm sitting in a slightly different location. I'm sitting in the chair in the passenger seat in the cab of the RV because Mike is currently back at the kitchen table where I usually record, writing. Yay! His next book should be done soon, so that is exciting. So, Aurifil. This is floss that I got from Fat Quarter Shop. This is a sponsored product that they sent me for the Prim Stitch series. So, I was looking forward. I had planned on buying this myself anyway because I wanted to try out the Aurifil cotton floss specifically to do a review for you. So I was thrilled when they included it in the products for the Prim Stitch series. So I've been using it for a few months now. I am stitching it with just one strand of floss over one, so it'll be a little bit different experience for those that are using two strands. But I will say overall, to begin with, I am pleased with it. So I'm going to start with just kind of giving a little bit of an overview of the company Aurifil, and everything I've learned I've just read on their website. So there's a lot more information there if you want to learn more. And then I'll talk about pros and cons and what I think overall of this floss for your daily stitching use. So Aurifil is an Italian company. They are located in Milan. They haven't been around nearly as long as DMC. They only started up in 1957, and they only came to the American market in 2007. So they are a very young company here in the US. I believe they got their start in the quilting world, first in the European quilting world, and then moving here into the States. And from what I gather, what I've seen, they've made a fairly good name for themselves fairly quickly. So that is certainly good. They have a pretty wide variety of thread weights. Now, I am by no means an expert on the different weights of thread and what they are used for. So I am just going to go down through their page. They do have a page on it on their website. So again, if you want to learn more, I recommend going to their website, and I will link that below. So there's a lot of information here. They have a very comprehensive website. So yeah, if you want to learn more, I recommend checking it out. So that, like I said, they do have a variety of weights. They have a 12 weight, which is comparable to the sulky threads. That is another big name in the quilting thread world and is starting to get a name in the cross stitch world. They have a 28 weight. Now, it's interesting, on their page where they talk about their different threads, they do mention the uses for the different threads. And for 28 weight, which I don't even really know what that is, they do mention double strand cross stitch. So they do have more options, just like the 12 weight. They do have more options for cross stitch than just the cotton embroidery floss. So 12 weight, 28 weight, and they have different sizes of spools for all of these except for the cotton embroidery floss from what I've seen on their website. So they have the regular size small spools of, like, this is the 28 weight. Well, let me go back up to the 12 weight. So they have the regular size spools, what we would consider this size spool, which has 54 yards. They have a larger spool that has 356 yards and an even larger spool than that that has 1,914 yards. So, for instance, the 12 weight, that's the 12 weight I was just quoting. If you had a sampler that you wanted to do in a single color, a monochromatic sampler, you could get one of these bigger spools I don't know the prices off the top of my head. I would have to look at the Fat Quarter Shop because I think they do pretty much carry the full line of Aurifil flosses, and see what the prices are. But I would think that would be a pretty reasonably priced option for you for a monochromatic project. So next we have a 40 weight. Again, it comes in all the different size spools with different yardage on it, because of course the thinner the thread, the more yardage you're going to get on a spool, right? And this is interesting in that, and this one, because it is thinner, they mention it is good for single, double, or triple strand cross stitch. Now, that kind of made me go, oh, you know, when you're getting up into the higher weights or the higher counts of fabric, 46, 56, even a single strand of DMC or like a single strand of the Mrs. Sadis floss gets to be a little thick. I'm using a single strand of the Mrs. Sadis floss on my 46 count for Pandemic, and it is pretty much the perfect coverage for that. Any higher count fabric it would be too thick for. So something like this, the 40 weight, that might be an option. If you don't want to spend the money on silks, you could get this kind of cotton, the 40 weight cotton. Pretty much all of Aurifil's products are have a 270 color range. So not nearly as much as DMC, but still 270 is quite a bit, you know, a lot to work with. Okay, so they have 40 count, they have 50 count, they have an 80 count, which I assume is very, very thin. And that looks like they only have that in the smaller wooden spools. The other spools, everything that I've mentioned before, have been plastic spools. This is wooden spools. They do have a wool acrylic blend. They just have, well, they have 192 colors in that. And that does come on all the different sizes of spools. And then they have the cotton floss. And according to what they are showing here on their website, they only have the cotton floss in these little wooden spools. They do have 270 colors. There are 18 yards on the spools. And then they also have something called 43 and monofilament. So they have a very nice range of products. So cotton floss. It is 100% Egyptian cotton floss. It is mercerized, so it is pretty much the same as DMC. DMC has been around a lot longer. DMC has a ton more colors, pretty much twice as many colors plus. It is a 6-ply, just like DMC. Like I said, there are 18 yards on the spool. DMC has 8 yards on the spool, 8.8. So it is over twice the amount of yardage that you get on one of these spools. Stitching with it, like I said, I'm using one strand. This is my project, the Prim Stitch series, one strand on 25 count Lugana. I've enjoyed stitching with it. It is equally as good as DMC. Does it knot as much? Possibly not. I haven't noticed a whole lot of knotting. I use, you know, the same length, 18 inches usually. I don't measure. I pull some out and I cut it, right? So it's a good length. There has certainly been some knotting. I would say it's about the same as DMC for that. The sheen is the same. I mean, the feel is the same. I did notice on the first color that I used, which was this brown, when I first pulled out my first length, the feel of it was really kind of, I'm getting a glare up there, let me spin you back around. The feel of it was kind of crisper, kind of like a linen feel. If you've ever knit with linen, you know it has a very crisp, kind of crunchy feel. And I think what happened is, let me pull out the spool. is that, so to handle the thread on here, it comes with the end kind of, let me see if I can do this here, kind of held up here in between the end and the spool. And if I do it, I think on the other side it'll be better. It seems to be a little more space. So it's held up in here. So it's kind of a nice way to keep your tails tucked in, right, on your spool when they're in storage. I think this was pulled so tightly, you know, it was more towards the end. I think this was pulled so tightly in here and had been stored that way for long enough that it really stretched out the fibers. And so they felt kind of crisp. It's still stitched up fine. It still appears fine in my stitching. There's nothing wrong with it. It just felt a little different. Everything else has had the normal soft cotton floss feel. So I do have, as I mentioned, the Prim Stitch set. So it comes in this box. It has this cover on it, very nicely packaged, and it also has a lid on the box. I've taken the lid off and put it somewhere because I'm in the process of stitching with this and I don't want to be taking the lid off every time. And you can see that my strands, the lengths that I've started to stitch with, I pull a length out and then just roll it up and put it back here on top of whichever floss, whichever color it is, to keep it kind of organized but still easily accessible. I've written the floss number on the top and the bottom so I can easily look and see what color is what. Now it does have, each spool does have a label on it that tells you the floss number. Made in Italy, Aurifil is what is engraved into the wood. The wood spools are not snagging the floss at all. I have found it very easy. Let me find the end of this one. You can see there's the end tucked in. I have not used this color yet. So it's very easy to pull it out. It's very easy to unwind it. Of course, since it's round, there's no kinks like you get on a bobbin. You can see you could store it on a spool holder if you wanted. This would actually be excellent floss to use for punch needle because you can just start a length and just keep on going. You don't have to stop and pull out more. Now that's if you're using 6 strands, of course, right? But anyways, I have been impressed with this floss in many different ways. I really like the fact, so what I can do is I leave, when I've started one and I need to pull out a new length of floss, I can just get the end and just, whoops, that's not going to work too well if it falls down on me and I pull it out. I can just get the end and pull out a length and cut it off and don't even have to take it out of the box. So lots of convenience to this. I love the spools, you know, they're very cute, very easy to work with. So the downside is the price. On Fat Quarter Shop, which is the only place I've gotten any of this so far, is they have a lot of collections, a lot of sets put together for different cross-stitch projects. You know, working with Lori Holt, working with some of the other designers, they create a collection and package it up for you. But this is not inexpensive thread. So DMC, a skein of DMC at Joann's full rate retail price, I believe is, what is it, 61 cents now? It's not still 56, is it? Didn't it go up? I don't remember. But it's still under $1 in the US. I know the price varies widely in other countries. I know that if you get DMC at the cross stitch store, like I got a skein at the Attic when I was there the other week, and it was 90 cents for the skein, but still, that is a lot cheaper than $4.74. Now this is, like I said, over double, but even still, even if you're paying $1 for DMC, that's still $2, maybe $2.50 for your 8 yards, or for 16, 18 yards, $4.74 for a spool of the Aurifil. So it is pricey. I think for those that are on a tight budget, it doesn't make sense to go this route. It doesn't make sense to pay the extra. If you, certainly if you can afford it, and if you have the space, and want to try out the wooden spools and see how you like them, and I mean, they certainly create a beautiful presentation. It's certainly an option, but the price is a little daunting. So when you get into the collections, for example, this Prim box was $90. So that is a lot. If you're just buying, what is this, 2, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 spools, that's a lot. That can add up quickly. Organization wise, again, very cute. I'm sure they have storage boxes for the spools. In fact, for a smaller space like what I have, I don't want to do bobbins because I don't like the kinks. I don't really want to do bobbins also because I don't want to take the time to roll it on the bobbin. But you know, the spool option is kind of tempting if it weren't for the price. So that is my basic thoughts about Aurifil. Like I said, I've been really happy stitching with it. I think it's a great floss. The only downside, you keep spinning around here a little bit, the only downside is the price. I will say that, you know, if you get the Fat Quarter Shop newsletter, and I recommend you do, that they do, I don't know whether, I mean, I get their newsletter at least once or twice a week, and they periodically, like maybe once a week, they have flash sales, and they periodically do have single Aurifil spools of the cotton floss on sale, like a 50% off, 40% off sale type of thing. So if you're interested and want to build up your collection slowly and at a reasonable price, that would be an option. So I think that is all I have to say about that. We'll channel a little Forrest Gump here this morning. If you have any questions, let me know. I will try to answer them. As I said, I am not an expert. I think if you're stitching with 2 strands as well, it would be beautiful. It's not all that different from DMC though, is the bottom line, except for the price. So I hope you found this helpful. As I said, if you have any questions, let me know and I will be happy to answer them. Until next time, guys, I love you and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.